Hey guys, I'm Emily Dunn. I have a sinus infection right now, and my microphone on my laptop is broken, so I'm recording this on an iPhone. Wish me luck. I need it. I'm suffering. But I'm going to talk to you guys a bit today about my experiences with casting and how I realized that that wasn't what I wanted to spend the rest of my life doing. When I came into film school initially, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was just kind of all over the place. I knew I wanted to be involved in the entertainment industry growing up, and film seemed like the best avenue for pursuing that. I didn't have a lot of resources at my high school for filmmaking, so I didn't have a ton of experience. Coming into DePaul, I was just super nervous about having classes with people that would probably be more experienced than I was, so I watched a lot of documentaries before that summer to try to catch up with other people. One of the documentaries that I watched was called Casting By, and it reflects on the life and career of renowned casting director Marion Dougherty. She was killing it in the 1960s and 70s, and her casting choices launched the careers of several famous actors and actresses like Robert De Niro, Dustin Hoffman, Al Pacino, John Travolta, and more. She did casting for most of Martin Scorsese's movies and most of Woody Allen's pictures as well. I'm not a huge Woody Allen fan, but well, she did it. Good for her. But she really shaped the way the casting industry was, and I was super inspired by her story. One of the things that it focused on was, her keen judgment of character and how much she believed in the people that came through her door, and that was something that really, really inspired me going into film school. I thought that casting was going to be the career for me. Since I knew that I was interested in it and wanted to pursue it, I actively looked for internships with casting agencies in Chicago. Over my winter quarter that year, I interned with O'Connor Casting Company, and that was a really fun time. I got to learn a lot and get some good hands-on experience in audition sessions and also with the other side of casting, which is scheduling, contacting people, and just being that point of reference for actors. It also taught me a lot about union paperwork, things like that. And they had a dog, so it was pretty cool. And after that internship, other students at DePaul noticed that I was interested in casting and that maybe I would cast their projects because that was something pretty difficult and time consuming, and it's just really something that's needed on student projects. So by the end of that quarter, I had been asked to cast my first project. It went pretty well. I was really pleased with the work that I did and the project that followed it as well. And at that point, I was jazzed about casting. I was super excited. I was kind of putting together my own little independent casting business. I made a casting email, all this other stuff. I started putting together a network of actors that I knew were interested in student films, and it all seemed pretty good to go. But that honeymoon phase just didn't last very long because in typical DePaul Film School fashion, which I'm sure a lot of you have gone through, when people know that you have a skill set, you get pigeonholed into it, and people will just keep asking you to do it and again and again and again, and it becomes so overwhelming that you don't really know why you're doing it anymore, or you just lose the motivation to do it, period, and you don't want to do it. And while it's nice to be asked to work on something, it's really hard to say no when you're overloaded because you don't want to lose out on a potentially valuable connection. And so I got pretty burnt out. In my junior year, I had cast 3 student films, a web series, all in fall quarter alone, and I was just super overwhelmed and frustrated. I continued casting a feature, and that just wreaked havoc on my mental health. And my frustrations came from a lot of places. First, I was really upset that I was putting in a lot of work finding, recruiting, and auditioning actors only for projects to fall apart in pre-production and or they just don't see the light of day because the director wasn't really proud of the finished product and didn't want to release it. So I've done about a dozen student films, and I have nothing to show from over half of them, and that's super disappointing. Not even footage, production stills, nothing. Just nothing. And while that was frustrating, what really, really turned me off of casting were actors. Actors are kind of the worst people, at least non-union actors, which were the primary people that I worked for casting student films, because SAG casting is a whole bear in and of itself, and a lot of student projects just don't have the time or the budget for that. But the main problems that I dealt with actors were a lot of them would be very inconsiderate, unreliable, entitled. Dear God, my voice is going out. We love. But a lot of work went into contacting actors, setting up auditions for them, rearranging things so that actors could come in for auditions. And so many times, so many times, those actors just wouldn't show up, or they would bail at the last second with a really lame excuse. There was just so much going on that I could not do it anymore, and I just had to step back and evaluate my priorities and my life plan. The more that I think, the more I realize that what inspired me about Marion Doherty's story wasn't her job as a casting director. It was her as a person and her desire to help artists fulfill their potential and push them to a new place in their career. At this point, I wasn't really sure what to do with that information, but thankfully, Dan Klein, love that guy, he gave his Business of Film lecture in his pitching seminar, and that really sparked it for me. One thing he talks about in that seminar is the importance of representation and finding good representation, and he clarifies what those different roles of representatives are. So he talked about management, agents, entertainment lawyers, and so on. And that's kind of when it hit me. Literary management. I don't really think I have the disposition to be an agent, but I believe in people who have a strong vision and a good work ethic, and I will throw all of my love and support behind people who have talent and drive. In general, I'm really fond of people who are talented and have a strong creative vision, and that's also drawn me towards development. I just really love helping people creatively and pushing people to do their best. At the end of the day, I won't completely write off casting as a career, but I am glad that I had these experiences that have helped me shift my focus into something that I might be a little bit more inclined towards. I think that I learned a lot through casting. I developed a lot of great skills with organization and communication, and I'm really grateful for that. But I would be very happy to never cast another student film for the rest of my life. Thanks.